Ooh. There we go. Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. All right. Let's spam our Discord. It has been far too long since I have spammed my Discord for a live stream. There we go. Try again. There we go. Yes. Send. Magnus Ogma, what up, dude? Welcome. Hello. I don't know what that means. That must be a different language, a language I don't speak. Fred, what's up, dude? How you doing, man? You are on time. I'm on time, too. You should, like, yeah, I'm on time. For once. The Crimson Black Dragon, what up, dude? How you doing, man? I'm glad you like the content, dude. Appreciate that. All right, I'm gonna go. Did I already send something on Twitter? I've mostly stopped going to Twitter. But I should probably... I think I might have scheduled a tweet to say something over there. It's possible. It's possible. I don't think I did. I don't think I have sent a tweet. No, I should probably tweet something over there. I'll just do the exact same thing that I sent to my Discord because, hey, recycle. There we go. Whee! Post that bad boy. Post it. All right, I think I'm good. I'm good to go. Catherine Willis, hello. How you doing? Weaver of Dreams. How you doing? Austin Walker's like, who are you again? Dude, man, you're like destroying my self-esteem, man. Here I am. I'm like, just trying to come on here and help people, man, and you're like, just gonna make me go cry in a corner, man. It's not cool. It's not cool. Russ, what up, dude? How you doing? Glad you like the videos, man. Welcome to the stream. It's just a hello, but with an N, just like you introduced yourself as a Bob with a P. A Pob? I have never introduced myself as a Pob. I want you to know. Enlo. Henlo. Okay, I still don't get it, but I'm just gonna move on from there. Is Escape from the Fae Kickstarter live yet? No, not yet. We're planning to launch September. September is the plan, but we're gonna remain a little bit flexible. We don't want to but I think we've sometimes locked in like we are gonna launch on this day and stuck to it, and that's bit us in the butt. At least once that I can immediately recall, possibly more than once. It's hard to recall. We've had 5 Kickstarters now, so can't remember details for every single one of them. But we're trying to remain a little bit more flexible on the actual launch date. Yeah, you want to come up here and want to co-stream? Get your big tubby butt up here. Let's go. Come on, Tubbs. This guy. There we go. There you go. That fluffy bucket up here. Good boy. Hold on a second. Trinda, hello, how you doing? Subcycle, what up, dude? Magnus Ogma, thank you for becoming a member, a channel member. Thanks, dude. I appreciate that. Evan Bradshaw, what up? Or Bassnaw, what up, dude? How you doing, man? I called you Bradshaw. Bradshaw, isn't that the name of like an NFL player or an NFL coach or something? Probably. Yeah. Han the Mars. What up, Adam? How you doing, buddy? Where was I? Oh, you're in Australia, Catherine? Sweet. Catherine? Oh, man, I'm just talking is hard. Australia, that's cool. I'm terrified of Australia. Like, if you watch any of those shows, like the 10 most deadly animals in the world, like 8 of them are in Australia. So I'm like terrified of Australia. You have spiders that are just like, and they just, and then, no, I'm like, no, thank you. I forget what the name of that spider is, but there's one that's massive, and it's super aggressive too, and it's huge, and its fangs. The documentary I was watching was like, it doesn't like, it can't manipulate its mandibles like a normal spider. It actually has to rear up and jab at you. It's like, it was terrifying. Yeah. If you are arachnophobic and I just triggered you, well, you can't overcome your fears if you aren't exposed to them, I suppose. I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, that thing was terrifying. I'd be pulling out my 9mm and just take that spider out, dude. That was crazy stuff. I'd probably miss because it's not that big. And I'd mag dump that sucker. Okay, where are we? Rocket Crotch. Hey, Rocket Crotch. What up, dude? Welcome. Yes, happy Independence Day. Hey, you know, Evan, you bring up a really good point. It is. We are celebrating Independence Day around here. So, got the flag on the front, In God We Trust on the back, baby. We actually have a sale going on right now on our store, the DM Lair store, 4th of July Independence Day sale. So, we kicked the crap out of the Brits, apparently, and now we're free, baby. So, if you want to help celebrate, I mean, I don't know, if you want to celebrate by buying some books from us, like, you can do so, and you can save up to 50% on books and digital stuff on our store. That's a pretty good deal. We only run those sales a couple times a year or something, a few times a year. So now's your chance to go over there and get some dirt cheap stuff as we celebrate 4th of July around here. So that sale is obviously now. There's a link. There should be like a link in the chat and stuff, all that. So you can, well, you can, if you can type in thedmlair.com, you can find your way over there. And if you can't do that, I can't help you. And then there's a couple like discount codes. There's like a big bar at the top of the website, and there's a couple discount codes, and you just, when you go to checkout, put in both of those discount codes, and then it will apply the appropriate discount to whatever products you have on there. Some of them are 25% off, some of them are 50% off. So just throw both discount codes on there. They will combine. It'll spit out a nice pretty discount, and then you get your junk cheaper than normal. So there you go. Holy crap, buddy. He's chewing on me already. If you talked more and pulled your weight around here. Oh, we have a giveaway going on too, ladies and gentlemen. So feel free to click the link in the chat to join the giveaway. We will it's $50 DM Lair store credit. And what was I gonna say? We'll draw the winner of the giveaway at the end of the stream. So this is a Q&A too, so feel free to start dropping questions and in the chat, and then I'll start answering stuff. You know, what's the best advice for a new DM? Well, I've been running this channel for 5-6 years. I don't know what it is. Tons of advice and practical tips on it and stuff. And I've always just said that the best advice for a new DM is to relax and have fun. Just enjoy the game. Don't get too worked up. Just embrace the suck. You are going to suck. You're not going to be very good at it. It's the first time you're doing it. You're probably going to suck. It's going to be really, yeah. So just be okay with that. You can't expect yourself to be good at something you've never done before. So as long as you go in and you know your expectations are, you got to manage your expectations of yourself and your own performance. Otherwise, you're gonna feel like depressed and like, oh, I sucked, man. I could have done better. Well, you can always do better, right? And so, yeah, and you did suck. That's fine. Just get better for the next one. And try to do a self-analysis on the things that you think you could improve the most on, the things you should get better on, the things that maybe slowed the game down a little bit, or maybe wasn't as fun for players or something that you were frustrated about. You know, like if combat was kind of herky-jerky because you didn't know the rules well enough, well then for the next game maybe read up on those rules, that sort of thing. So that's always my advice for new game masters. Oh goodness. Oh, okay. Now I'm scanning for questions. Have you given any thought to the kingdom of BECMI, classic D&D to save your soul? I mean, I love classic D&D. I played it at conventions. I have some on my shelf back there, so like I like it a lot. I do. I almost bought a set. I almost bought a BECMI. BECMI? Can we call it BECMI? I don't know. You can't say the letters every time. That's ridiculous. I'm gonna call it BECMI. BECMI. I almost bought a BECMI set like a year ago. I was at I think it was like, it wasn't Noble Knight Games, but it was a similar type of like store that had a booth. I think I was at GaryCon about a year ago, and it wasn't Noble Knight Games, but it was a similar type of thing where they just had product from a whole bunch of different, game systems and stuff. And I saw a BECMI. I saw a BECMI up there, and I was like, oh, I don't have one of those yet. I need to get one. And I went over there and I started to look at it, and I was about ready to grab it, and then I noticed that there was a separate, it was like this 5-book set. It was a 3 or a 5-book set. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna get this. Stop biting me, come on. All right, I gotta talk more intelligently here. BECMI, D&D. There was like basic, and I don't know what it was, man. There was like 2 different versions of it, and I was getting confused about what was in each one. And I'm gonna bite you back. It wasn't the original ones. It was like a remake. I think it was Goodman Games. I think Goodman Games did like I can't find photos of them, but Goodman Games did like a remake of the BECMIs or something. I'm pretty sure it was Goodman Games. And there were 2 different types of it, and I could not figure out for the life of me what the difference was. And I was afraid of getting the wrong one, whatever that means, because I couldn't do an analysis of the differences between the 2. I asked the salesperson, what's the difference? And he's like, I don't know. And so I was like, I'm not going to get it then. So I just didn't get it. It was too confusing. And the back cover did not explain anything about the differences. So I just was like, okay, I'm piecing out of this. The product does not explain well enough the differences or what it is. So I was like, I'm done. I almost bought it though. Oh, everyone does call it BECMI? Great. Excellent. That's great. I'm glad to hear that. Israel Morales, what up, dude? How you doing, buddy? I'm great. I'm doing well, thank you. Where am I? Oh, Fred says I'm looking at Shadow Dark, which is much like BECMI. Oh, I play Shadow Dark. Absolutely. I love Shadow Dark. Shadow Dark right now is my game of preference. It is my game of preference, 100%. I'm running 3 games right now. I have a Pathfinder 2 game. I have a D&D 5th edition 2024 game, and then I have a Shadow Dark game. And heads and tails, Shadow Dark for the win. I would rather transition my other 2 groups over to Shadow Dark. Actually, the Pathfinder 2 group we're gonna go to Call of Cthulhu after we finish up Pathfinder 2. And then the D&D 5th edition 2024 group, we're playing through Escape from the Fae right now, which we're going to be releasing as a Kickstarter in this fall, September probably. So we're playing through Escape from the Fae, so I don't want to just like cut the campaign off. But dude, Shadow Dark's tons of fun. It's tons of fun. I I was literally scripting a video today, titled 7 Lessons D&D Can Learn from Shadow Dark. That'll be coming out in August? Yeah, August. Yeah, that's how far ahead I work. I'm filming tomorrow. I'll be filming my August videos. Yeah, we don't screw around here. Because some people, some YouTubers, you guys, like, I don't know how many of you have done the YouTube crap, but some YouTubers literally every single week, they're like, what am I gonna make a video about? And they have to concept it, then they script it, then they film it, then they edit it, and they're doing this every week. It's this grind every week. I could not live that way. That would consume all my time just trying to figure out what video I'm gonna make, and then filming it and editing it. It would just, it'd be all over. No other work would get done. I'd just be trying to fix, so I don't do that. I've been batch planning, filming, scripting and filming my videos since the beginning almost. I think I've always done it that way. It's so much more efficient to do things in batches, batch work, you know, than to do it just like as it comes up every single week, you know. Like I have a friend, I'm not gonna mention his name, but one of my friends, he's a YouTuber. He's a big YouTuber. You'd absolutely know who he is. I don't want to mention his name though. Put him on the spot. But he's thinking every single week, 2 to 3 days of his time are sucked up into video production. Well, he also still edits his own videos, which I keep telling him, like, dude, you gotta get an editor. Come on, man, you gotta get an editor. Get an editor. You're gonna save yourself a day. Oh, it's crazy, man. Get an editor. It's not like they're expensive either, you know. But anyway, so I think 2 to 3 days. I think it's 3 days of his time gets sucked into just creating a video every week. That's a lot of time. Even if you're not working, dude, you can just have 2 days where you just like kick back and do nothing if you save those 2 days. Anyway, we're not. All right, I'm looking for questions. Feel free to drop your, if I missed your question, you can post it again. I won't, nobody's gonna hurt you. What is Canada Day? Somebody said happy 3 days after Canada Day. I'm not familiar with Canada Day. You wanna let me use my keyboard? No, you're just gonna bite me? Okay. What is Canada Day? What is Canada Day? Stop! Don't bite the watch. I don't mind if he bites me, you know, because I'll heal. But the watch, it's like, this was an expensive watch, and he doesn't need to put cat teeth marks in it. Okay, Canada Day, celebrated annually on July 1st, is the national holiday of Canada. What does that mean? Oh, it commemorates the anniversary of Confederation in 1867 when the British North America Act was passed, uniting 3 British colonies into a single country called the Dominion of Canada. 1867. It's a day for Canadians to celebrate their nations. Did they fight a war for independence? I don't know. Somebody here knows. Did Canada have to fight a war for independence? I don't know if they did or not. Yeah, I don't know. Somebody in chat knows. Sunman Moon Fam. Hope you're all having a great day. I'm mainly just here to hear what happens or want to talk about. Yeah, we're just chilling. Right now we're talking about Canada Day, I guess. Oh yeah, Magnus Ogma, you can totally get all of the past issues of Lair Magazine that you've missed on our store sale. And Lair Magazine is a digital magazine, so that is 50% off. And there are bundles. You can get bundles where you can get 50% off the bundles. It's bonkers. You'll be able to get everything for dirt cheap if you get the bundles and then apply the 50% off code. Ooh yeah, it's a great time to get past issues of Lair Magazine. I ran my first game a while ago, which was Dungeons of Stormwreck Isle, and I'm not familiar with that. And I just got Curse of Strahd, the Essentials kit, with Dragon of Icespire Peak, and the first starter set with Lost Mines of Phandelver. Okay, cool. That's awesome. I have not played any of those. I don't own. I have played Curse of Strahd. I do own Curse of Strahd. That I like that module. It's fun. I had to heavily homebrew it. You cannot run that as is. Even if you were using Curse of Strahd for 2014, it was a pushover. It was like weak sauce. Oh, it was pathetic. If you're running it for 2024 D&D, which all of the characters are much more powerful, you gotta homebrew and beef that sucker up huge. It was weak sauce for 2014. It's super weak sauce for 2024. So just be aware. I mean, this is fair to say. If you're running any adventure module that was created for D&D 2014, every single adventure in it needs to be beefed up if you're running it for 2024. That's the thing. That's the way you got to do it. I have over on the dmlair.com, we have a 2014 to 2024 conversion guide, totally free. And it's a quick rule of thumb that will help you do that if you need to do that. It's not like super technical, mathematically perfect. It's a quick rule of thumb to get the job done to make your game work. So if you want that, it's free on our site. But you gotta beef stuff up, dude. Totally. Real Ghost Studios says the cat is looking at you like, why are you stop petting? Well, because you biting me. He won't look at me now. Now he's staring off that way. Hey. Yeah, that's right. I'm talking to you. He's all dejected. He's like, I got in trouble for biting you. Luke, does the Diamond Distributors bankruptcy that Stephen Glicker of Roll for Combat talked about in the last day or so affect yourself? Nope, doesn't affect me at all. We don't have any of our books at any distributor. We don't use a consolidator. We didn't use Diamond, so it doesn't affect me whatsoever. I'm completely 100% unaffected by that. I mean, you're still welcome to like go buy my products off my store. You know, actually, I should lie to you. I'm near bankruptcy. It's destroying me. Please, support me on Patreon. Go buy products off my store. Follow Escape from the Fake Kickstarter that's coming up because I'm almost destroyed. Actually, I could just lie to you and leverage that bankruptcy thing to make a bunch of money, but I won't because that would just be pathetic. But I'm sure, yeah, there were people that probably got huge screwed by it. Huge screwed. Like if Steven had tons of inventory in Diamond and they're literally liquidating his inventory to pay off their own debts. Oh, wow. That is super sleazy, dude. That is Sleaze Town, USA. That is like, holy crap, man. Like, where are the executive suites located for Diamond? Just point me at them, baby. Because holy crap, that is bad. Bad. That is deplorable business practices to like literally steal someone's books and inventory, jeopardize their business because your business is already bankrupt. It's already bankrupt. You're already down the toilet and you're done. And now you're literally stealing other people's products to sell them so that you can pay off your debts. So you ran your business like an idiot, got yourself in debt, did a bunch of stupid stuff, and now you're going through bankruptcy. All right, you probably just a slew of bad decisions and bad business management, and now you're going through bankruptcy, and now you're stealing people's books. That is messed up. That is messed up at a whole new level, and you're jeopardizing other people's businesses. Very bad for them. Like there are not words in the English language to describe that level of deplorable, despicable, reprehensible human behavior. It's just absolutely horrible. So, yeah. But yeah, I'm unaffected. So, go buy my books. Just out of, because you want them, I guess. I wish, what was I gonna say? More, I was gonna say something else about that diamond thing. It makes me like we were actually, we were and are kind of talking to distributors and consolidators, but now it's kind of like, maybe we don't want to if that's the type of stuff they do. And he was talking about how legally, like, they can kind of do that, and I don't get that. I don't understand how legally they can do that, man. That's messed up. Two for Fun says, hello, I just wanted to say I've been loving your GM advice. It really helped me get into GMing Pathfinder 2 games. Thank you so much. You're very welcome. I am happy to help. Puppet Master asks, any suggestions for a DM that is feeling a little burned out, even after a break, but wants to get back behind the screen, asking for a friend? Why are you burned out? You got to expand upon that. Tell me, because it's like, what are you going to do? Like, when I'm burned out, I have to think about why I feel burned out. I have to analyze why I feel. Now, me personally, most of the time, I feel burned out as a game master because I have too much other stuff going on in my life. There's too much other pressure from like other work that I have to do or something. There's something else going on in my life that is causing me to feel stressed and pressured to where I don't feel like I have enough time to prepare for my game or even run my game, be at my game. And I just feel pressure and stress. And that pressure and stress from other things causes me to feel burned out for the game itself, you know? And so many times when I feel burned out, it's because of that, you know? And if I don't have that other pressure and stress, I don't feel burned out. And so the solution for me is, okay, you feel burned out. How can you eliminate other crap that's causing you to feel burned out? Because if you don't, if you don't change that thing that's causing me to feel stressed and burned out, then it's not going to change. Like, I can take as many breaks as I want, you know, but I might still feel burned out, you know. Or if it's like there's a problematic player or something that you're just tired of dealing with every game session, and they just keep on, oh man, and you're just like, I'm tired of it. I don't want to run this game anymore because that player, I don't like that player. Well, there's an easy solution for that, buddy. The easy solution. So really, I think you have to do like we call it a root cause analysis. You really got, or 5 whys. You really got to dig down and figure out what is actually causing you to feel burned out, and then you got to try to solve for that, you know. So look up 5 whys. It's a problem solving strategy, and it helps you. It's a really simple thing. It helps you find out like the root cause of something, or just look up root cause analysis if you've ever done that. But you got to find out what's actually causing it, and then solve for that. I think that's the best I can tell you, because any other like how to overcome game master burnout advice is really just kind of like some generic crap that we're gonna throw on a video to get views, you know. But you got to dig into it and get a customized result, I think, if you actually want to solve the problem. What are your thoughts on a toxic dungeon master? Leave the game. It's simple. The solution is simple. Finding another good game can be hard. But yeah, don't stay in the game, dude. It's like if you have a toxic player, kick them out of your game. Or if you're a player in a game that has a toxic player, I would tell the dungeon master, hey, this player's toxic. I don't like him. Is there anything you can do about this? Give the dungeon master a heads up. Give him a chance to help solve the problem. Maybe you might help solve the problem too, somehow. But at the end of the day, if you got a toxic player in the game and you're a player and you don't like it, you can just leave. You know, trust me. Well, I would say most dungeon masters who have an inkling of social skills, who have soft skills, who are able to have just a little bit of table, they're able to read the crowd or read the table. If they have an inkling of that, even if they don't, they might still know when they have a bad player or a problem player or a toxic player. Like we are not oblivious to this. Because we suffer through that same player too. Like, you know, so if you as a player reach out to the dungeon master and say, hey, problem player, can you do something, or can I help, or can we do something, whatever, it's not like it's going to be a shock to them. They're going to be like, yep, that figures. Now somebody else is complaining about it. And that might just be the fire that they need under their butt to actually take action. Be like, oh, now I have one of my good players is complaining about the bad player. I should probably do something. Otherwise, my good players might start leaving my game. And then I'm going to be stuck with the bad player. And that would suck. Because I don't want the bad player here actually either. Oh, maybe I should just kick him out or something. Anyway, there's a few ideas for you. I guess. Uh-oh. You're trying to run. Okay, Mage's Music says try running the original Ravenloft, complete with classic first edition level drain mechanics. Watch your players cry. Oh, I hated level drain mechanics. Oh, it's because it's like it's almost worse than dying. It's like one touch, saving throw. If you fail, you lose a level. It's worse than dying. This is why level drain is worse than dying. Because if you're dead, you just like rip up your character sheet and make a new one. If you get level drained, you got to go through your character sheet, update all the stuff that results from being level drained. You know what I mean? And that's tedious and crap. And then like if they can restore your level, because I think clerics had a thing at higher levels, mind you, where they could restore level drains, and then you got to like undo all the changes and stuff. But it's like your character just gets whacked. Everything that you did to gain that level is all of your work. I mean, I think in first edition it was second edition had level drain too. In first edition, I'm pretty sure you got levels from gold. In second edition, it changed. It was from just killing monsters mostly. But the point is that all of the work, everything that you've done to gain your levels is just gone. One touch, one failed saving throw, gone. You lost a level. And it might not stop there. They do it again and you lose another level. Just like boom, 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 losing levels, baby. So that sucked. It's just sucks. And then once it's what we call a death spiral. Okay. This is why, like, one of the things that I'll often joke about and make fun of is how in D&D or almost any other TTRPG, almost any other one, practically all of them, you have hit points, right? Or health or something. And as you lose hit points, your fighting capacity remains the same. As you lose hit points, your ability to reason, to think, to make decisions remains the same. It doesn't matter how many sword blows and stabs and punches or magic missiles you take in the face, your ability to function as a person remains unaffected, okay? Which is completely unrealistic. It's completely unrealistic because I'll tell you what, if you're in a fight and you get punched in the face, your ability to stay in that fight diminishes. And if you take several blows in the face, it diminishes every single blow. Your ability to fight back diminishes every single time, which is why many times the aggressor in a confrontation will win because they got the jump, they got the edge, and every single blow will take the other person's ability to respond down considerably until they're practically helpless. So the aggressor almost always wins in a confrontation. So, but the problem with being, stop it. The problem with being realistic in like D&D with hit points, and imagine if every time you took damage, your fighting capacity went down and you got worse as a fighter, right? Or a wizard or whatever it happens to be. The problem with that is that you have a death spiral. And what a death spiral is basically once you start the spiral, the outcome is inevitable. Because once your fighting capacity is decreased in a game that has levels and where enemies scale and get tougher as you level up, the more your fighting capacity decreases, it's almost impossible for you to overcome the enemy at that point. Just a small decrease can put you, especially in a game like Pathfinder 2 that does not use bounded accuracy, your ability to respond decreases so much that you're pretty much helpless after even a couple wounds. You could lose 25 hit points and be helpless at that point because your fighting capacity has reduced itself so much that you cannot respond to the enemy. That's what we call a death spiral. And so where was I going with that? I had a big tangent explanation of a death spiral, and then there was a question about level drain. Level drain is a death spiral. You've lost one level, your ability to stay in the fight, to do anything or play the game at whatever level you're at is greatly diminished. 2 levels down, 3 levels down, it's like, can you imagine if you're in a 10th level adventure and you have a level 7 character? You're a liability. You can't meaningfully contribute in a lot of situations. You're not pulling your weight. The other characters have to watch out for you and watch your butt. You have become a liability, which is why in my games, I don't like if you die and you're level 10, your new character is level 10. And it's not because I want to make things easy. It's because the gameplay is not fun for the player who died, nor for the other players. Like if I bring him back as like a level 1 and he's got a level all the way back up to level 10, it's not fun for that player who died, and it's not fun for the other players who have to babysit that player's character now. Not fun for anybody. And so it's overall lack of fun. And so that's why if you die, you just get the same level as you were before, because it's just more enjoyable for everybody not to have to deal with that bullcrap. And then I don't have to sit there and be like, well, I had 2 characters die, so now I have 3 level 10s and 2 level 1s, and they're in a level 10 adventure that's balanced for 5 players at level 10. Now I have to Either I'm going to adjust the entire adventure so that it's more balanced for their massive discrepancy in levels, or they're gonna have a really hard time getting through that adventure, which increases the odds that they're all gonna die and we all start at level 1 again. So it's like, no, man, I'm not doing that as a game master. It's no fun for me to have to do that kind of work, So it's just like, no, you die, you're level 10, So anyway, that was we got another topic there. All right. Han the Mars just got a dog. Cool, dude. That's awesome. What kind of dog did you get? Strahd is a pushover in Curse of Strahd. He's a wussy boy. You gotta beef him up big time. Diamond has always been sleazy. Well, they got what they deserve then. He said he has over $100,000. You lost over $100,000 in inventory at Diamond. How many books would that be? Let's get a calculator up here. So, the average cost of a book, if you're getting it printed, like offset printing, he's probably paying about $4 for one of his books. So $100,000 divided by $4 for one of his books, that's 25,000 books. So he had 25,000 books sitting at Diamond. That's a lot of books. That's a lot of books. Holy crap. Holy crap. That's just the cost of books. That's just the cost of books. You know what the actual lost revenue is? So each book, let's get the calculator up here. We can look at this together. So got a calculator, handy dandy calculator. So you have $100,000. Average cost of a book, we'll say it's $4. He probably prints them at $4 each. Because if he has that many books, if he has that much inventory, then I know he does offset printing. He's printing in large quantities, big boy quantities, which means you're paying like $4 a book roughly, if not less. And I know which printers he uses too, so I know roughly how much that costs. So we're at about $25,000 or 25,000 books, right? So you have 25,000 books. And you can sell each one of those. Well, so he had these at a distributor. Distributor buys these at 40% of the cover price. So 25,000 books, the cover price is $60. We'll say he sells his books for $60 each. Whoops, 60. Oh, come on, buddy. So that's $1 million. So he had $1,500,000 of potential sales profit, except that it's a distributor. So we'll times that by 0.4. Generally, a distributor will only pay you 40% of the actual MSRP of your book. And we'll assume that he was probably doing the same thing everybody else does. More than likely it was. So he had, that's $600,000 of lost revenue. Lost revenue. That put me out of business. I mean, I'm done. Now he has a whole lot more products, books than I do, and he's operating at a larger scale than I am. But even then, dude, that's a big loss. $600,000 of potential sales gone, just evaporated. And here's the thing. Diamond is doing this to lots of people, it sounds like. Lots of people. Wow. I would not want to be a Diamond executive right now. I would literally fear for my life. I would probably have bodyguards. 100%. Holy crap. Because it only takes one person who like has their entire business and livelihood destroyed to like go get amped up and do something bad. You know what I mean? It only takes one person who's had everything fall apart because of this sort of thievery, you know, to do something bad. So like, I would not want to be a Diamond executive right now. That would be bonkers, man. Because you're ruining people's lives. Oh, wow. Because dude, think about this, man. Like, how long has Steven spent building Roll for Combat, working on his business, and getting it to the level he's at with it? You know, he's at a much higher scale than I am. You know, he's got distributors and stuff and doing all this stuff. He's got like, he does a Kickstarter about every two weeks. Every 2 months he has a new Kickstarter. You know what I mean? He's built his business up to very high scale, very high level. You know what I mean? And how many years does that take? How much work does that take? Right? And then to have a company who's already bankrupt and donezo literally like shotgun to the face to your business, mess up like, I don't know, a decade of work. And they've done that to multiple, how many hundreds of people? Companies are getting screwed over by Diamond right now in a similar way. That's pretty messed up, man. That's pretty messed up. Pretty messed up. Magnus Ogma says, I'm really hyped for Escape from the Fae, and now my unhealthy love for all things Fae is not a problem. There you go, buddy. There you go. Escape from the Fae. By the way, guys, in celebration of 4th of July, we have a sale going on right now on the DM Lair store. You can save 25 to 50% off everything we have. Just go over to the dmlair.com, and then you're going to see a banner at the top that'll tell you the discount codes to enter in. It's super simple. Just follow the instructions. You're good to go. And you save tons of money. So we have like all of our books are over there. Go buy and save money and stuff. So we have a giveaway going on as well. So there should be a link in the chat somewhere to the giveaway. Just go find that, click it, enter the giveaway, and then you can win some money. We'll draw the winner of the giveaway at the end of the live stream. Mithro Gaming says, hey, good to tune back into their Dungeon Master Q&A. The campaign I asked for tips about last Q&A is going good. Just had my 3rd session yesterday. Awesome. I'm glad to hear that, dude. Well, if you got any more questions and stuff, hey, man, we're right here, buddy. But I'm happy to hear that it's going well, dude. Being a Dungeon Master is not easy. Conceptually, it's simple, but it is not easy. Adam, the D&D guy, says, my uncle is writing a novel and we're pitching it to Wizards of the Coast. I'm also writing a prequel module to the books, and we'll ask them to publish that too. Good luck, dude. Is it like a, what kind of, when you say novel, is it like a Swords and Sorcery fantasy book, like the type you just read, or are you talking about like a TTRPG or like a D&D adventure module? Like, which one are you talking about? What kind of novel are you talking about? And the reason I ask is if you're using their IP to write the novel, you should be aware that if they don't agree to publish it, you will not be able to publish it. You're donezo because you're using their IP. If you don't have proper licensing, you cannot publish it. So you could not decide to self-publish it and list it on Amazon. You couldn't like run a Kickstarter or something to try to publish it. Like you're donezo. So if you're, and I bring this up because writing a novel is no mean feat. It takes a lot of work and a lot of dedication. You could spend, well, professional authors can write, 200-page novels in a couple months. But you might spend a year or something, if it's your first one, writing a novel. And then if they don't decide to publish it, all of your work in writing that novel, because you're using Wizards of the Coast IP, your work, you can't do anything with it. It's dead in the water. So that's just a word of caution if you're using their IP. Oh my goodness. So Trindus says, Roll for Combat said that there are 124 companies affected, including DC. Oh, DC, yeah. Marvel, Paizo, Green Ronin, and Roll for Combat itself. Yeah, that's messed up. Legal doesn't always mean moral. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. That's messed up. That's a lot of big names too. That's a lot of big names to be ticking off. Oh, holy crap. Mage's Museum says level disparity isn't a big deal in old editions, unlike modern games where level parity is preferable. Oh, really? Oh, okay. This is also why you can't retreat effectively in D&D. Well, part of the problem with retreating in D&D is the opportunity attacks. If there weren't, like, in my Shadow Dark game, my group has no problem retreating because there are no opportunity attacks. In Pathfinder 2, most creatures don't have opportunity attacks. So you can retreat much easier if things go badly. So I think the problem with retreating effectively in D&D has a lot more to do with that particular rule, opportunity attacks, than it does anything else. Puppet Master says everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. Yes. If you posted a question and I missed it, please feel free to repost it. Oh, there's no saving throw for level drains? In first edition? Oh, wow. Oh, wow. That's brutal. I'm way back in chat right now because I'm scanning for questions, so you know. So I'm going to be jumping around a lot here. Do you have any advice on player retention? My 3+ year campaign is about to lose 3 out of 6 players, bringing it to 10 players over the course of 3 years. The players have left due to life reasons. Cranky Smurf, the players have told you that they've left due to life reasons, but you really don't know. I mean, maybe you know your players super well, and you know for sure. But most people. Okay, here's the thing. I've left mini games before. I never tell them I'm leaving because I don't like the game. I have never told anybody, hey, this game kind of sucks, I'm gonna stop playing. I've never said that. Okay, you just don't say that to people. Now, it would actually be useful. Like, if I had a player that was leaving my game, I would love it for them to just be honest and say, Luke, I'm leaving your game because it's not that fun, and these are the reasons that I'm not finding it fun. That's like the most useful information I could possibly get because it tells me how I can make my games better. But nobody, unless they have a big old sack hanging there, they are not going to tell you that. They're going to tell you that, life got busy, or my job is doing this and it's costing me that, or my wife wants to go out on dates. Imagine that. My wife wants to go to the casino. It's just crazy. And I have to go have fun. No, nobody's gonna usually tell you that it's because the game sucks. So like, if it is true that your players are leaving because of life reasons, there is absolutely nothing that you can do about it. Period. End of story. You can't do anything about it. You cannot do anything about it. There's nothing you can do. So if it is true that they've left due to life reasons, there's nothing you can do to improve player retention. Nothing. The best you can do is try to have your game at a time each week or every other week that works for most people. Like, if you have your game at 1 p.m. on Monday or 1 p.m. on Wednesday, there's a good chance that a lot of people aren't going to be able to make it. If you have your game on Sunday evenings, well, you know what? That might work a lot better for people. It depends. It depends on who they are. If you do it Saturday evenings, well, I mean, if you do it like Friday nights might work, but that's like that Friday night tends to be a night that a lot of people tend to go out and do stuff too. So that, especially if you're like a grown adult with like family and stuff, that might be a problem. You might find if you play a lot with adults, you might find that weekends are bad because they tend to do things on weekends, especially during the summer. And so a weeknight might be better. You might want to play Wednesday at 6 p.m. You know, everybody gets off work at 5. They get home by 5:30. They're able to play by 6 or something, or maybe start at 7 p.m. You might play on Wednesday nights. So you can try to pick the time of day and the day you play on as like a hedge against people's life stuff, making them quit your game. Beyond that, I will tell you this too. Everybody has a finite amount of time that they can do stuff in, right? And to dedicate 3 to 4 hours to something every week or every other week is a big commitment. And so in order to do that, you have to really enjoy what you're doing. You have to really enjoy that. And if you don't, then other things are going to be far more appealing to you, right? And I think you're going to find that for many people, maybe most people, the things that you really want to do, you figure out a way to do them. You figure it out. Now, sometimes you can't, sometimes you just can't. But many times, if you love playing video games, you're going to figure out how to play video games. You'll get up early in the morning to play them before like your kids get up or your wife gets up, so nobody can bother you and you can just sit down and play. Or you stay up late when they all go to bed and you play your video games. Most people, most of the time, if they really want to do something, they'll figure out a way to get it done. So the very best advice I can give you in general advice for player retention is run an awesome game. That's the very best thing you can do. If you can make your game so much fun and so enjoyable, people will be like, oh, I really want to be in that game. And they will figure out how to rearrange their other activities, their other things, negotiate with their wife or kids or something, or their boss. Like, if you make your game so irresistible that they have to be in it, they will figure it out, if at all possible, and they'll try really hard. So the best advice I can give for player retention is run an amazing game. That is the number one thing. And and a corollary to that is, if as a game master you find that you have high turnover, the first place I would look is, am I running a good game? Am I running a fun game? Are my players enjoying the game? Like, if I ever experience super high turnover rate, that's the first place I look. Is my game fun? Are people laughing and having fun? Are they enjoying themselves? Right? Like, that's the first thing I'm looking at is my own game. Like, I don't care what the players told me. Oh, I had to leave because of finances, or I had to leave because of this, that, or the other. I don't really care what they tell me, because they're probably telling me a socially acceptable reason for leaving the game. I know that. I'm smart enough. and socially competent enough to understand that's the way people work. You know, not that I hold that against them because everybody does it. I do it, you know. But the first place I'm going to look is my own game. Is it fun? Can I make it better? What am I doing? You know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's like the best advice I can give you for player retention is to run an amazing game. Now, you've lost 10 players over the course of 3 years. So let's take a look at see what that looks like. Is that high turnover or low turnover? So 3 years is 12 months in a year. Whoops, 3 times 12. Now divide that by 10. So every 3 months, we'll just say 4. Every 4 months, you're losing a player. That does seem high. That does seem high to me. Do you play online? How are you getting your players? That'd be my other question too. But that turnover does seem high to me. I'm trying to think about what my turnover usually is. My current Pathfinder 2 game, we've been playing for over a year, and we haven't had any change of players. I'm trying to think about before then. Yeah, I don't. Now, my online games have much higher turnover. There's a big difference between, I don't know, this is just my experience. I have found that if I'm playing in person, my turnover is pretty low. If I'm playing online, my turnover is much higher. But it's also way easier to get new players if you're playing online too. So I'm just like, I'll just recruit and I get more and they fill the spots. It's not a big deal. Getting in-person players is much harder. I also charge for my online games. People have to play, or they have to pay to play in them. So that that's always a consideration too. You're spending 4 hours and you're paying $50 for a game session. So like, you know, if you're not really enjoying that time, you're gonna drop. So that's another consideration. So I don't know. It seems a little, if you're running an online game and it's free and that's your turnover, maybe it's not that bad. I'm not sure. I don't know what the stats are, honestly. Anyway, we're gonna move on. How do you make failures interesting? The party got their butts handed to them, there are consequences, but they need to be interesting too. I feel like I want to challenge the premise that failure needs to be interesting. I want to challenge the premise of the question. Because failure doesn't, sure, you have consequences, right? But I don't think failure always has to be interesting. You know, like that feels like one of those like albatrosses that we tie around our necks, you know, where it's like, oh, if there's a failure, if they fail at something, I have to make it interesting, you know, somehow. Like I don't think you got to do that all the time. I feel like I wouldn't sweat that too much. Sometimes you fail. Players fail a lot at a lot of things, you know. It's like, oh, they tried to attack the enemy and they missed. How do I make that interesting? Come on. How micro are you going to get on trying to make failure interesting? You know, the party TPK, they all died. How do I make that interesting? Well, TPKs don't happen that often usually. So maybe that's a case where you might want to think a little bit about how to make it interesting, you know, and brainstorm a little bit. But you know what? There might not be a way to make a TPK interesting. But at the end of the day, your question is, how do I make failures interesting? And my answer is not going to help you because all I'm going to tell you is think and brainstorm and pick your best idea. That's what I would do. Like if I wanted to make a TPK interesting, that's exactly what I would do. I would brainstorm. I might go to ChatGPT. ChatGPT is wonderful helping to brainstorm and get ideas. ChatGPT, My party, da 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 da. They just TPK'd. They were fighting, da 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 da. This is what happened, da 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 da. You know, how can I make this interesting? And it'll give you bullets of different ideas. One of those is going to be like, that sounds might be cool. You take that little nugget and you flesh it out into something, right? But you brainstorm and you pick something. That's how you make it. That's how you do it. All right, I'm looking for more questions. If I did not answer your question, feel free to repost it. We do have a giveaway going on today. Please feel free to join that. There's a link in the chat. We also, in celebration of 4th of July, we have a sale going on. Our dmlair.com. You can save 25 to 50% off everything that we have on the dmlair.com. So go check that out. If you've been eyeballing something, now's the time to grab it. Adam, the D&D guy. See you later, dude. Ireland, man. Any advice on a small party 2-player campaign? You're just gonna balance your encounters differently, essentially. I have had small games like that before where I just have the players run more than one character. That solved the problem. As long as they're capable of running more than one character, because I'm gonna tell you, God bless their heart, God bless their souls, but there are some players that you do not want to touch more than one character sheet. Oh, wow. Like, getting them to run one character, you know, and make decisions somewhat efficiently and not take forever, like, that's enough. If they were running 2 characters, our faces would melt off and the world would end. So, like, you got to use your discretion. Don't, if somebody can't, if somebody goes to McDonald's and can't pick which hamburger they want, you know, that person is not a candidate for 2 characters. If they're running a wizard and like it's 5 minutes for them to tell you what spell they're gonna cast in a combat, don't let them run another character, man, because they are not capable. They're not capable. So you got to use some discretion, right? What are the best tactics for a night hag to use against a party? I think night hags suck. They suck. I'm gonna tell you why they suck. Give me a second. We're gonna pull up the night hag stat block. I'm gonna tell you why I always have thought night hags suck. And then somebody's gonna be like, Luke, that's because you're unimaginative and you suck, and that's fair. Let's go to I'm trying to find monsters. No, I want to go to the encounter creator. Those are the tools, encounters. There we go. All right, let's go over here. So, I gotta sign in. Stand by. I have to sign in. Sign in with Wizards, Google. I don't think, did I use Google? Did I use my Google account for D&D Beyond? I don't remember. It looks like I did. All right, here we go. We're ready to rock and roll. Okay. Night Hag. So the thing about Night Hag, I'm gonna look at the legacy one, 2014, because I don't know what they did in 2024. The thing about them is that they suck. They have decent armor class. They have some hit points. They're level 5, right? They have a bunch of resistances. All right, and they can magic missile, la-di-da. Plane shift on themselves only. Raven enfeeblement, I think, is kind of a sucky spell. And then sleep, which is not going to do anything to your players. So their spell casting sucks. It's just. And then their claws, so they can do some damage with their claws. Ooh, yay! Change shape is like, okay. Etherealness, okay. And then this right here, doesn't really work during a combat or something. So like, the thing with the Night Hag is that the tactics you have available with her in combat are lackluster, and you could have her use an action to go ethereal and then reposition, and then on her next turn she uses an action to go back to the material plane, at which point she's a sitting duck and hasn't accomplished anything, and she might get wailed on unless she does a really tactical repositioning or something. So you could use her etherealness to pop around the battle map and use it for positioning purposes and make her cagey and hard to hit. Yeah, but what's she gonna do? I mean, she doesn't have any good, like, she's gonna pepper them with magic missiles all day? Maybe. She just keeps on getting too far. What's the range on magic missile? 120 feet. So if she's got a lot of distance, she could just keep playing this cagey, ambush tactic type of thing where she like just pops in the ethereal plane, moves away, pops back, hits them with magic missiles. Except the party's going to have ranged attacks available, so they're going to respond with arrows or spells and stuff. So it's like, you could do something like that, but her most interesting feature is her nightmare haunting, which has no value in a combat at all. It's something that happens outside of combat. So you could have her use this on the characters, but then they're going to have dreadful visions, and its hit points is reduced, so I guess you could have her keep doing this and like slowly reducing like a PC's hit points and stuff. But like, if she's on the ethereal plane, the players are going to have no way to respond to this. And I think that she can keep on doing this over and over again, and she could just kill characters this way. I think it looks like that's the way it works, just on a cursory examination. But that's not interesting, so like, the way I would use this is to have her do this on townsfolk, and then the players have to investigate why are all the townsfolk having horrible nightmares, and then they have to confront the night hag. But her stat block, just from if I were creating a combat with a night hag, her stat block does not make for anything interesting. I need to give her something that she can do that's interesting, So yeah, she sucks. I think the solution is to customize her stat block to give her something interesting she can do against the party, besides like play it cagey. Because the thing is, you could do the ethereal caginess and shoot from a distance type of thing, but combats like that, they sound good on paper, but when you actually run them at a game table, as a one-off, if it's done once, it's a novel thing, and your players are like, oh no, they're super cagey, we have to track her down. That can be interesting once, but if you keep doing that over and over again or too many times, it gets really old, and then combats just take forever. And they're like, oh no, another caster who can teleport away and then bombard us. So like, I don't know. Night hags, you're better off customizing this or picking a more interesting creature. They're not super interesting. Killer Kitty says, de-suckify the night hag, Luke. Yeah. You posted that before I even talked about it. You're totally right. She sucks. You have to make her more interesting. What I would do, honestly, is I would find a stat block that already exists that I like, and I would just call it a night hag, and you're done. It's easier than customizing it more than likely. Why were there no streams for a month? Oh, my wife and I took a vacation. We drove out west. We went to... Oh, we drove... Map of the USA. Hold on. Map of the USA. I'm just going to show you on a map where we drove. Colorful map of the USA. All right. Yep. Make that big. Oh, hold on a second. Open link, open picture, open image in new tab. There we go. Okay. I have a colorful map of the USA. So we can look at this. So we drove You can see my little cursor. We drove through Illinois and Chicago, which I hate doing. I just, if there were a way that Illinois, and especially Chicago, but Illinois in general, well, I guess it's really just the gun laws that I don't like. But if there were a way that they could like teleport to a different place in the U.S., because almost every time we go on a trip, we have to drive through Illinois, and I hate it. I have to lock my firearm up and disarm myself. I have to disarm myself going through one of the most dangerous cities in the country. It's crazy. So if there were a way to like not have to do that, I would love it. But anyway, we drove through there, and then we went up to Wisconsin. We went through Minnesota. We went through South Dakota. There's really cool stuff in South Dakota. We saw the Badlands. It was really cool. And then we went into Wyoming. South of Yellowstone, there is a national park called Grand Teton National Park. Very beautiful. We were there for a day. And then we went into Idaho. We drove up to some waterfalls in Idaho. And then we went to Twin Falls. From Twin Falls, we drove into Nevada. And there was like some great salt flats that we were going to see. But my GPS screwed up, and it took me an hour past them, and just it was a fiasco. So we didn't get to see those. And then I went to Salt Lake City, which, by the way, Salt Lake City traffic is kind of sucky. I've seen far worse traffic in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas area, but Salt Lake City traffic was not fun. And then we drove down. There's a whole bunch of beautiful stuff down here in Utah. We went to there was a national park down here that we went to. I can't remember the name of it. And then we drove over to Las Vegas. We were in Las Vegas for a night. And then we came into Arizona. We went to the Grand Canyon. And then we traveled back through New Mexico. We went through Albuquerque, which I've always wanted to go to Albuquerque because I love Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Really, really amazing series if you haven't seen them. And it all takes place in Albuquerque. And I was like, I want to go to Albuquerque. And then we went to Albuquerque and not impressed. It did not feel very safe. At least the parts of the town because I was going to there was this Mexican restaurant that I found on Google and I wanted to go there, but that area of town did not seem safe. And I went. Then we got some food from there, and I drove to a park somewhere else to eat it. And I just like the neighborhoods just felt like my spidey senses are going off. So I did not like Albuquerque. But anyway, and then we drove through the top of Texas right here, and we stopped at a Buc-ee's here. That was great. Beautiful, delicious Buc-ee's brisket burritos for breakfast. And then we came through Oklahoma City, and then into Missouri, or I should say Missouri. How do they say it? People from Missouri say it differently. They're like Missouri. They say it differently. I don't know. And there's a Buc-ee's in Oklahoma. We hit that one. And then we came up into right around here somewhere is St. Louis. We stopped in St. Louis. That was nice. And then we cut across Illinois as fast as we could. I told my wife, I was like, okay, we're going through the bottom of Illinois. We're driving. We're not stopping. We will not stop as we drive through Illinois because, again, I had to disarm myself. And so I was like, we're not stopping. And it took us 2.5 hours to get across the bottom of Illinois. And then once I was in Indiana, which is gun friendly, I was like, all right, baby. And then we drove up through Indianapolis and back into Michigan. So that took us 2 weeks. Literally, that's a 2-week journey. We did not stay more than one night in any location, and it took us 2 weeks. We went across the entire U.S. We didn't go into California. Again, that would be a place where I would not enjoy going. But yeah, we came through all of this. It was very nice. We hit a lot of the states. We hit Wisconsin, Minnesota, South Dakota, Wyoming, Utah, Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana. So that's 13. We went through 13 states. 13, baby, out of 50. That's awesome. Was it relaxing or draining? Oh, it was fun. It was relaxing. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I didn't mind it at all. Bye, Israel. Thanks for hanging out, dude. Did you stop by the Corn Palace? I saw signs for the Corn Palace, but did not. That's like, where is that? That's like the Minnesota. It was like up in Minnesota, South Dakota, somewhere around there. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you about a tourist trap, you guys. So if you're ever driving through South Dakota, there's like a big highway that goes through South Dakota. It's probably the big one. As you're driving through, you're probably even toward when you're in Minnesota still, and you're going towards South Dakota, you are going to see what is that? What is that big tourist trap? I can't remember the name now. The big tourist trap near the Badlands in South Dakota. Somebody knows the name of it. What is the name of that? You see signs for it the entire highway. Somebody here knows what it is. Put it in chat. I can't remember it now. I was gonna warn you all not to go there. Now I can't remember what it's called. Man. Wall Drug. Thank you. There you go. The Bud. Thank you, man. So as you're driving through like Minnesota, South Dakota, you're oh dude, you're going to the UP? Sweet, dude. Where are you going, man? That's awesome. As you're driving through here, you're gonna see signs along the highway for Wall Drug. And so the first time my wife and I went out west, we saw these signs and I didn't go. The second time we went out west, which was last summer, I think, the second time we went out west, I saw signs for Wall Drug, and I was like, you know what? We really should go this time. Let's go there and see what it is. It's near the Badlands. And we went there, and we got into this place, and it's like it's like they took like an entire block or 2 blocks or 3 blocks of adjacent buildings, connected them all, you know, and turned it into one big tourist trap. You know the tourist traps where it's like gift stores? This was like gift store after gift store after gift store after gift store, tourist trap stuff. And we're walking through this and we're like, this is stupid, man. And we walked through several stores, used the bathroom, and then left. It's just a big waste of time. Big waste of time. I thought there might actually be something interesting there or fun, but nope. Nope. You feel the same way about Manhattan? It sucks to drive through? Yeah. I've been in, you know, interestingly enough, I don't know. This was about 15. This is probably 15. This is probably almost 20 years ago when I was much younger. 20, maybe 50, between 15 and 20 years ago, I was in New York, and I was driving there, and it didn't seem like a big deal to me. Like, it didn't seem that bad. I don't know if that's different now, but the traffic didn't seem horrible. The worst traffic I've ever been in has been Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas. Holy crap, that was bad. And it wasn't because it was like slow. It was because you had 8 lanes or something crazy, and it was going fast. So they had enough lanes to handle the traffic. It was just like tons of lanes, everybody going super fast. You know how people drive in cities, and then driving like maniacs. And it was like, that's terrifying. Like when we went to Las Vegas, there's this highway that goes through Las Vegas, and apparently it's a really bad highway and there are accidents and stuff. But like, and people drive crazy because it's a big city, you know. But here's the thing. The traffic was only going about 30 miles an hour on the freeway, on the expressway. So it's like, okay, there's a lot of traffic. We're all going about 30 miles an hour and people are driving a little crazy, but it's 30 miles an hour. It's like, it's not that big of a deal, you know. But yeah, Dallas-Fort Worth, oh my gosh, it was horrible. And I had a rental, and it was a Jeep it was the Jeep. What are the Jeeps that fall apart? You know, that you can take the roof off, take the doors off. What are the ones that just fall apart? They're like Legos, you pull them apart. Which ones are those? I had one of those, and it was a big boy. And oh my gosh, I was terrified. Like I normally don't have a problem when there's a lot of traffic and stuff like that, but this vehicle was just, it was not fun to drive. Wrangler, yeah, it was a big Wrangler. It was like extended, wide, big, huge sucker, and it was horrible. And the steering, Wranglers are made for off-road, so the steering is very loose. You know, it's like you turn it a little bit, nothing happens. You have to really turn it to get it to respond. And I'm driving this behemoth with the steering that doesn't respond, 8 lanes or whatever of traffic, people just going crazy, and I'm just like, this sucks, man. So I hated that. Oh, Boris, that is so pathetic. I don't know what it is. I've never understood. I've never understood the concept of most dangerous cities in the U.S. being where you can't have a firearm. I never got that. So it's like law-abiding citizens can't have firearms, but all the criminals obviously do. I just never understood that. It didn't make sense to me. It's never computed for me. So I don't know. In Michigan, I'm not gonna worry about it. Michigan is like a swing state, so we have pretty good firearm laws. They're not that bad. It's not as good as some other states. Like we don't have constitutional carry, which is amazing. That's the great thing. When I travel, most of these states have constitutional carry, so I don't gotta worry about anything. South Dakota, Wyoming, Utah, Nevada. I'm not sure about Texas. I think Texas does. I don't know about Arizona, New Mexico, but a lot of these states did. Indiana does. I'm not sure about Missouri, but most of the states, even if they didn't have constitutional carry, they had reciprocity with Michigan concealed carry. So I was able to conceal carry because they had reciprocity with Michigan, which is one of the nice things about Michigan, is that to get a concealed carry in Michigan, it's really easy. It's stupid easy, but it's harder than other states, which means that many states will honor reciprocity. They have reciprocity with us, and they'll honor ours. All you have to do in Michigan to get concealed carry is go to a 6-hour class, and then you have to spend 2 hours on the range or something like that shooting. It's not hard. So it's a day. It's basically a day. You got to spend a day in class and then shooting. And the test you have to pass is stupid easy. I think you have to shoot 30 rounds, and 80% of them have to be on the paper or something like that. It's just dumb easy. Oh, it's at 7 yards too. At 7 yards. That's so easy, you know? So it was dumb. Anyway, but I guess that's strenuous. Those standards are strenuous. Whatever. Ron Arnold says, as a Dallas native, I laughed immediately when you said that. Our highways are nuts. Yes. It was bonkers, dude. All right, will you just come up here then? Come on. Get up here. He's down here crying. Did you guys hear him crying? He's down there whining and crying. I know, 80% at 7 yards. I know, it's hilarious. Okay, there you go. Are you happy now? You poor baby. All right, you can't sit on my lap though. Go up on the desk. When I did my concealed carry test the first time, because I had to renew it recently, so there was a second time too. But when I did it the first time, I had a 22 handgun. There's no recoil. There's 0 recoil. So it was even more trivial. But there was and the thing is too, is that the place where I was doing it, they basically guarantee that you're gonna pass your test. And I remember there was a woman there who was having a really hard time at the firing range, and she couldn't hit the target at 7 yards. She just couldn't do it. And that instructor was spending lots of time helping her, lots and lots of time trying to help her. And I'm thinking like, if you're trying to get a concealed carry, you should know how to use your gun at this point. You should have already practiced a lot with it and know what you're doing. I feel like, like it makes sense to me. And so to have kind of be clueless and not be able to hit anything at 7 yards, it's like maybe you shouldn't have a concealed carry. So I think the instructor should have failed her. She should get some more range time and know what she's doing before she's carrying around a gun. So that's just I don't know. Maybe I'm cruel and unusual. No, I don't remember it. That was years ago. I don't remember what she was firing. It was probably a 9mm. That's the most common handgun that people are gonna have. It's probably what it was. Wait, what's IDPA? I don't know what that is. She should be allowed to use blanks to scare people off. Ooh. I think that's dangerous, though. That's probably more dangerous. Defensive pistol competition training. Oh, that would be so much fun. It's all shooting scenarios. Oh, I would love to do that. I need to do that sort of thing. Because it's boring for me to shoot paper at a range right now. I haven't gone to the range in a while. It's just kind of boring to me. But that sounds like fun. I need to find some of that. I need to have like an instructor to probably help teach me some of that though. Because I don't know how to do that stuff. Brunch Princess, hello, welcome to the stream. First time, yay! Oh, here's a question. Have you either run or played? We're just talking about whatever because I haven't seen any questions. Have you either run or played in an adventure or session involving a festival or holiday? I don't think so. I don't tend to run games like that. I don't think I've played in any like that either. Any fun stories to tell? No, sorry. My kitty reminds you of your cat Dexter? Yeah, he's a pain in the butt. When I worked at a range, most people that failed the LTC test was with a 38 snub nose. Well, those are hard, dude, because like they're small, and the one I used once was I forget the technical term, but the hammer was inside. So the hammer was not, so there was no what do they call that? There's like a little rib. So like on my semi, on all of my handguns, there's like, you got your grip and there's that little rib that comes, because I have hammer fire. I love hammer fired. So there's the hammer and there's that little nub there that your hand goes up against. There's a term for that. I forget what it's called. But when I'm pretty sure it was a 38. It was a revolver, and I don't know if it was a snub. It might have been, but it was an internal hammer. And what I found is that gun was so small. I don't have big hands. I have like probably average to small sized hands for a guy, but handling that thing was hard because the gun was so small, and there was just, I don't know, it was different. So, well, it wouldn't be hammerless. I don't think they make 38s that are striker fired. Do they? When I read 38 stub nose, I'm thinking revolver, and those are hammer fired. So it would be concealed hammer, right? It's not hammerless. It has a hammer. Oh, it's an internal hammer. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think they would call it hammerless though, because it does literally have a hammer. It's inside. But anyway, it was hard for me too. But I rented it because I wanted to fire a revolver, because I'd always fired semi-automatics, and I was like, I should learn how to fire a revolver. And so I got one, and it's like, yeah, that's not too bad. So then I knew how to do it. And then I also rented, what was it? I rented an AK-47. It did not have the fully automatic enabled, you know, but I was like, I should know how to fight, because I have an AR and all that crap, but I'm like, I should know how to shoot this gun. So I got an AK, and it was interesting. It was interesting. And the guys are like, okay, so, you know, like the magazine is curved, and then to load the magazine, you have to like, there's a little thing that catches. There's a different way. You don't just push it up into it. You got to catch this thing and then rock it back into it. And so I'm like, okay. And then the safety is weird. It has this lever basically. So like on the right hand side, there's this lever that kind of like, you know, safety on. In the middle is semi-automatic, and then all the way down would be fully automatic. That was disabled for this one, you know. And so like I had to learn that. So that was interesting. So, it was cool. Anyway, that was fun stuff. Oh, here's a question. Any tips for someone who is running their first live game at a small convention after only running games online? Also, not many game sessions online. Well, it's going to be really different. It's going to be really different. Trying to think of what I can tell you that's going to help you. You should be aware that in many conventions, it's going to be difficult. You're going to be in a room that's really loud, more than likely. So you're going to have to project or raise your voice or shout, and that's going to be really hard. And it's going to be very draining. So I actually saw, this was a live stream, but somebody mentioned that they use a microphone. They have like a lapel and a little microphone that they use when they go to conventions, so they don't have to shout, and so people can hear what they're saying. And I thought, I was like, that's a really good idea, and I need to do that. I just never get around to finding one on Amazon. Yeah, Foxy Project. I've got a lapel mic and a mini speaker. Yeah, that might have been you that was saying that on a live stream. Somebody was saying that on a live stream, and I was like, that right there's a big brain idea. I need to do that, you know? So it's going to be really loud. That's going to be hard. Depending on how the convention does it, there might not be that much time between game sessions. So like some conventions only give players a half hour to get from this game slot to the next game slot. And if they only give players a half an hour, it's going to be rough, because what's going to happen is this game is probably going to, even if they end on time, they might go over a little bit. Your players are going to almost assuredly, after 4 hours, they're going to go get a snack or get lunch or something, and then they have to find yours and get to yours. So they're probably going to come. You're going to have at least some players that will arrive late. Will happen. 100% will happen. And then you're going to have to try to make sure you end on time as much as possible, you know. And you're going to, when the players get there, they're going to have to, if you're providing pre-gens, they're going to have to pick out their pre-gen and read up on it a little bit and learn, you know, study it a little bit and know what it does. So you need to you probably want to plan for about a half an hour at the beginning of your game slot that you're probably not actually playing quite yet, right? You're going to have to give players a half an hour that are getting there late, finding their character sheets and getting ready. So give them a half an hour. Half hour's gone, right? And then you're probably going to have, usually it's a 4-hour slot. So you're probably actually only going to have 3.5 hours to run your game. So just plan for that, you know. I don't know what else I can tell you that's going to be useful. I have not found that there are too many different, well, if you've only ever played games online, then playing them in person is going to be different for you. I don't know. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head. I don't want to belabor the question too much. Not that I have too many more waiting for me, but Um, you're gonna have real flesh and blood people there. Yeah, I don't know what else to say, dude. Oh, you want me to pray for you? You got it. I got you covered, Ran. In God we trust. 4th of July sale. 4th of July sale right now at DM Lair store. 25 to 50% off, by the way. I just transitioned into a sleazy plug. What were you saying? You feel like you're over prepping? You might be, but that's okay. Like, you know? And I think that's a normal response. First of all, there's nothing inherently wrong with over prepping. I will wager a guess that prepping too much has minimal risk for something bad happening because you over prepped. If you're too prepared, like, what horrible thing is going to happen? There are some, like, you might prepare something so much that it's now your darling and you don't want to let go. It's like, oh no, I have to have this scene, even though we're almost out of time. I have to have this scene because I loved it. I spent so much time getting ready for it. So yes, there are some pitfalls to over prepping. Sometimes that can bite you, but there are far fewer, in my opinion, pitfalls to over prepping than there are to under prepping. There are lots of pitfalls to under prepping. Right. So, but I think if it's your first game at a convention and you've never run games in person before, then over prepping is a natural response and probably a good, healthy response. So, yeah, not killing your darlings. Exactly. So I wouldn't worry too much about that part of it. Yes, the time slots are real. The game's got to move. 100%. 100%. You got to keep those games moving. Oh, you're kidding me. Crimson Black Dragon. Oh, that's awesome. Do you find it funny that my wife said that playing D&D is stupid, but watches one of your videos and now my wife loves playing D&D? Oh, your wife's amazing, dude. That's awesome. Which video was it? Do you know which video it was? That's so cool. Tell your wife that she's awesome. That's the way to do it, man. You just like, D&D is stupid, and now it's like, oh, let's play some D&D, baby. That's awesome. What do I do with the horses of minion allies that my players always want to use to fight for them? I know that it's an alright strategy, but it's not fun and it robs the game of it. I don't want to RR. I'm not sure what RR means. Well, look it. The problem, so but your players want the horses to fight for them? I don't know what that means. Like, they can ride the horses. They can ride the horses. And they might be able to use them in combat, but a horse really needs to be trained for combat. Like a riding horse, not good for combat. Not good for combat. Horses like spook, right? And will throw you and run. And horses are like, they're like, something's gonna hurt me. So like horses gotta be trained for combat, and that's called a war horse. So a riding horse is not good for combat to begin with. But if your enemies are using them in combat, then they're probably trained for it at least a little bit. The thing with horses is they gotta eat, they gotta be fed, right? That's a lot of food. It's gotta be carried with you, or you gotta let them graze, and that's a lot of time that it takes to graze if you're not gonna feed them with something like oats or whatever it is that has like a lot of nutrition in it. So, I mean, you can just give them a reasonable rule of, hey, if you're gonna have horses, that's cool, but like you have to either carry oats or you have to let them graze for I don't know how many hours a day they have to graze if you're not giving them oats or whatever. So you could do something like that. But the biggest thing about horses is that horses, regular old horses, don't have very many hit points and their armor class is low. And I'm gonna tell you, your players might not like this, but screw it. If there is a heavily armored knight, full plate, riding a horse that has no armor on it, a discerning bad guy is going to attack the horse. Because you attack that horse, it's probably going to die in 1 or 2 hits, and then it's useless. And now your armored knight is dismounted. Might get thrown. I mean, in real life, they'd probably get thrown and then have a, might hurt themselves getting thrown from the horse, So in my games, enemies attack mounts all the time. If they can't hit the rider, they're attacking the mount. They're attacking the mount. Especially if it's just a horse. Because it's like, yeah, horses are worth a little bit of gold and stuff. But like, if I'm dead, it doesn't matter how much that horse is worth. So I'm just going to kill the horse, and then they can't benefit from the being on a horse and having the benefits of being on a horse. So, and then at that point, your players are like, okay, we have to get barding for our horses. We have to put armor on them. Okay, yeah, you do. That's going to make it harder to hit them, right? But then they're going to be slower because they're wearing barding all the time. Horse armor. And it costs money too. And then they still don't have any more hit points. So your fighter has 200 hit points. The horse still has like 13 or whatever. One dragon breath, they're all done. So like, I've always felt that like the easiest way to deal with horses is just to do what seems most logical and makes sense. Enemies attack them, you gotta feed them, etc., etc. So. Oh dear. All right. If I missed your question, please feel free to repost it. And then we have a giveaway going on. So there's a link in the chat. Click the chat, join the giveaway. We'll draw a winner at the end of the live stream. Also, to celebrate 4th of July, we have a sale going on right now on the DM Lair store, 25 to 50% off. Go over there, check it out, grab some stuff you've been eyeballing. At this point, I have to go bio, so I will be right back. All right, we are back. Oh wait, it's the wrong button. There we go. One of the things too that I do for Foxy project for your convention game is, because you have to stick to that 4-hour time slot, you really want to give your players a meaningful ending. Like, you want them to feel like they've finished the adventure, and you only got like 3.5 hours to do that. So you really can't run that many scenes in the adventure. If it's D&D 5th edition, one combat is guaranteed to take a half an hour, if not longer, depending on the level you're running it for. So I think you're probably going to be able to fit in a little bit of exploration in a dungeon, probably one big social interaction or a couple smaller social interactions, and then one mook combat, just like standard enemy combat, and then like a final combat. That's probably all you're gonna have time for. So you're probably looking at if you're thinking you're gonna run like a 10-room dungeon, never gonna happen. If you got 10 rooms in that dungeon, they're never gonna get to all of them. I have I'm just thinking off the top of my head, one of the adventures I designed for one of the conventions I ran years and years ago was 4 rooms, literally just 4 rooms. There were 3 different factions in the dungeon, and they could ally with them or not, or they could fight them or not, or whatever. And then there was like a final confrontation, and that's it. There were literally 4 rooms in that dungeon, and that worked out really well, and we got it done on time and stuff. So, and I actually have that on the DM Lair store. I think it's called, what is that one? I ran this one. What is the name of that one? Let me go find that. Get out of the way, cat. Now I want to know what my page isn't working. Oh, there it is. Okay. It was. I'm gonna go oldest, the old to new. It's an older one. Demons Below. This one right here. Is it Demons Below? Yeah, I'm sure this is it. Demons Below. Nope, that's not it. Into the Darkness? Was it this one? Yes, this is the one. So this one right here, I originally ran this for a convention, and there are different factions at odds with each other: a green hag, Dwerger, and vampires. And then there's So this is like, they're literally like, it's a 4-room dungeon basically, and it worked perfectly for a convention. What's the best way to tie in a homebrew campaign into an official module? What? Those are literally 2 distinct things. I'm running Pathfinder 2 Rusthenge, and I want to pivot to my homebrew. Oh, after you're done. Oh, okay. I was thinking you were trying to merge a homebrew with a module and run both at the same time, and I was like, whoa, what? How's that work? Then you just you want to pivot to your homebrew after we're done. So the way you I'm trying to figure out how I explain this. The tie-in happens because there needs to be something in your adventure module that points people toward the next step, which is the homebrew campaign. So what you need to do is you need to put things in the adventure module, especially toward the end of it, that will foreshadow the stuff that's going to happen in your homebrew campaign. Letters or hints or different things that's happening, so that when that module ends, they will get introduced to the first hook for your homebrew thing, and it will have already been alluded to, foreshadowed in the adventure module, and that'll make it feel more natural. If you can have like NPCs maybe tie in, or items that they found in the adventure module that'll tie them into the homebrew campaign. But the trick is literally the tie-in. It's putting things in the adventure module that allude to or foreshadow the homebrew campaign, and what those are and how you do that that's going to be for you to figure out depending upon what your adventure module is and what your homebrew campaign is. Because that's going to smooth that road out and make it feel more natural to transition into your homebrew campaign. That said, you don't need to do that at all, because an adventure module by definition like has, I don't know, however many adventures are in it, and then there's a final climax where you defeat the final big bad and you're done. There's nothing to say that the entire campaign has to have one continuous or related storyline. They could defeat that final big bad of the adventure arc at level 8, right? And then there's a new thing going on completely unrelated to that. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. It's like, think about this. If you were in the military, okay? So like, let's just use real world examples, right? So you have, you had the Iraq War, okay? So you're over there, you're fighting in Iraq, right? You kick their butts, okay? That's over, all right? And then let's say that there's like, let's say there's a war. Let's say, this is ridiculous. Now you're going to war with Australia, okay? And you're going to war with Australia over something, whatever. Anyway, is there any relationship between the war in Iraq and the war in Australia? No, nothing. No relationship whatsoever. There doesn't have to be. You're a soldier. Like, you're just gonna, wherever the problem is, you go and you do your job, you know? So an adventuring party can be the same way. There was this big bag of the adventuring module and we did a whole bunch of work and stuff and it took us years, but we beat him and that's over. Cool. Oh no, now there's another problem over here. They don't have to be related. So don't beat yourself up too much over that. They can be totally unrelated and it's fine. It's totally fine. That does not have to be your relationship. So if you're struggling at how to tie them together and make it a smooth transition, just say screw it, throw that crap out the door, and just have there be a clean break and have them be unrelated. That's the most natural thing in the world. This is like probably one of those cases where as game masters, we get these ideas of things that we have to do or should do that you don't have to do them at all. It's an unnecessary burden that we place upon ourselves for who knows why, for what reason. It's kind of like, I think another unnecessary burden that game masters, to give you another example, what I mean by that, the game masters often put on ourselves is like when there's a new character being introduced into the game, we're like, oh, how can I introduce this character to the group so that it's really cool? You know, like this awesome introduction where it all like fits together perfectly and stuff. Like, how can I do that, you know? And then you're agonizing over the perfect way to introduce the character. Dude, nobody cares about that crap, man. Like, I just joined a D&D game that starts to play in a couple of weeks. I do not give a flying crap how the dungeon master introduces my character. Like, it's not that big of a deal to me. Like, just get me in the action. Let me start playing the game. That's all I care about. The 5 minutes that is spent introducing my character to the party or the game is inconsequential to my enjoyment of the game. 100% inconsequential. And if you do a horrible introduction and you're just like, oh yeah, you walk around a corner and there's another adventurer there, and it's just kind of this like meh, I don't care. I don't care how you introduce my character. I just want to play the game, and then I want the gameplay to be fun and cool and stuff, but like introduction, I don't give a flying crap about. So I think that's an example of another thing that we agonize over, that's illogical and irrational for us to agonize over. All right. Oh, whew. Does your wife like D&D? Nah, not really. She likes going to the casino. She likes going on vacations. We both like those things for what it's worth. You cut a lot out of the module to trim it to what you think would take about 3 hours while keeping the story in place and having it make sense. Yeah, I mean, that's fair. Now just be aware that like what you think should take 3 hours might take a group you've never played with way longer. So what I like to do is when I'm running something on a convention, if at all possible, you want your scenes to be flexible. So it's like you have to have a beginning, a plot hook, and introduction, okay? And then you have to have that, it's usually a final boss fight, right? But everything in the middle, you want to be able to take scenes out if you don't have time. Like for instance, if you only have an hour left to go, that's about how long the boss fight's probably going to take. So like there was going to be another little fight before then. No, you pull that out. You don't use that. So you have to be flexible. You want to keep your adventure modular, so to speak, and have the middle parts, you can pull them out if you don't have time for them, right? Here's the other thing. Here's the other big. This might be the single most important thing you can do if you're running an adventure at a convention. Never start in town. Let that sink in. Never start in town. It is the single biggest mistake you can possibly make, because the moment you start in town, can anybody guess what your dear beautiful players are going to do? They're gonna find out what the adventure is, the plot hook and stuff, and the first thing they're gonna do, they're gonna go shopping. They're gonna want to get supplies. They're going to want to make sure that they're ready for the adventure, because heaven forbid that they don't have like a grappling hook or some pittance before they go to the dungeon or wherever the adventure takes place. You put them in a town, you've guaranteed you're going to take 30 minutes to an hour in that town shopping. Or chasing red herrings, or doing something else that has nothing to do with the adventure. You've literally just blown 30. Hey, stop biting. Now they're staring at me. You've literally wasted 30 minutes to an hour of your precious game time at a convention. Now, in our home games, we don't care not quite as much. Even though shopping for an hour, I once had recently I had a Pathfinder 2 game session where we spent 2 hours shopping. It was very, very challenging. It was, whoa. I told my players, I'm like, how can we make this never happen again? Like, what can we do to ensure that we never spend 2 hours buying stuff again? And it's challenging in Pathfinder 2, because Pathfinder 2, like, it's making sure that you have good equipment is pretty important to keep pace with the enemies. That's a micro. That's actually a major complaint I guess I have for Pathfinder 2. You know, the equipment situation. But whatever, it was horrible. So convention, they never start in town. Never. Start them at the beginning of the dungeon or where the adventure is. That's the starting location. They don't get the option to go shopping. There is no option to go to town. You narrate it. You narrate their butts heading to the beginning of the adventure. I always start my convention games at the adventure start location, which is usually a dungeon or a location where the adventure takes place. And that's where they begin. That's where the game opens. And then they can start playing the interesting parts of the game. Why would you waste 30 minutes to an hour shopping? That is not a fun part of the game for 90% of players, I would wager a guess. There are some people that love shopping in their D&D games. They're just gonna have to do that somewhere else, I suppose. I don't know. So that is a very important convention tip, I suppose, that I forgot to tell you about. Gamer bugs. I didn't see your question. Nah, I'm gonna try to. You said you posted it twice. Yeah, they might. Jennifer, you're totally right. They might decide to explore the town. They might explore the town. Listen, it's this classic, it's the problem of, if the game master put it there, there must be a reason for it. If we started in town, there must be a reason we're in town. Maybe we should get supplies. You don't know. What if it comes to bite us in the butt? Maybe we should explore town. Maybe there's something important here, somebody to talk to, information to find. Also, never start them talking to the NPC quest giver, because you got the same scenario. You got the same problem. They're going to spend a half an hour or longer talking to the NPC quest giver. Even if you tell them all the information they need, they're going to ask questions. They're going to interact. They're going to try to get more information, because again, if the dungeon master put it there, there must be a reason. And they're going to spend a half an hour talking to the NPC quest giver. No. Narrate. Give them all the information. I usually have a handout. This is important too, I guess. Give them a handout that gives them all the information they need about the quest, all of the details. You should mention it verbally to them, but also have a handout that simply lists all the information they need about the quest. That way it's always handy. So some people don't listen to you when you talk. You probably realize this in your life. And so when you narrate what they're supposed to do, some people won't be listening. Well, there's a handout. And if they're like, hey, wait guys, what are we supposed to be doing again? You can be like, there's a handout, just read it. Or if somebody arrives late to your game session and they missed you narrating it, don't repeat yourself. Just say, hey, there's a handout that explains what the adventure is. Oh, cool, I'll read it. So that's really important too for running your convention games. Have a handout. It tells you what the adventure is. And then don't be in town. Don't go to the NPC quest giver. Simply narrate to them what they're supposed to do, what the person tells them. Now you're at the dungeon. What do you guys do? That's how you start a convention game. It's also how you start one-shots. If you're ever running a one-shot online or in person, that's how you start one-shots. If you want it to be done in one game session, you skip the uninteresting, fluffy filler parts of the game. Skip that crap. Skip the fluffy filler parts of the game. You could make an argument that you should always skip the fluffy filler parts and go to the good parts of the game. There's a strong argument for that. In general. Carousing. Yeah, shopping. Okay, gamer bugs. Gamer bugs, repost your question. Post it a third time. If I don't get it a third time, you have my permission to hate me and like flame me online and say that I'm the worst person in the world. I mean, you don't need my permission to do that, but you would have it. Gloomstalkers are broken in 5th edition. I homebrew their See in the Dark ability or whatever it is. I can't remember. It's been a while since I had a Gloomstalker. It's been like a couple of years since I had a Gloomstalker. But they're broken. As broke can all be. I make a change to them. I won't allow them as is. All right, I'm looking for gamer bugs. Okay, the 4th time. It's the 4th time. Okay. Sweet. All right, now I gotta give a really good answer for this. Otherwise, I'm a bad person. Your opinion on the NPC that PCs get quests from is actually feeding into BBG. Maybe their actions help BB. What's BBG? Big bad guy? Is that the big bad guy? Maybe their actions help the big bad guy, or they end up fighting him at an opportune moment for the big bad guy. What? What's your question? I'm not sure I understand, and I don't know what the question is either. Not really, I'm a bad person. The handout is handy, especially at convention. Yeah. Yep. The NPC quest giver sent a messenger with a note. The messenger is a familiar that pops out of existence upon delivering the note. You can do that too. Yeah, a handout with basic mechanics of the game is useful too. If there are any magic items that the characters start with, you probably have pre-gens. I usually have I have informational pages like that explain what all of their. I assume for my pre-gens, my 5th edition pre-gens that I have, I assume that the players may not have a handbook, a player's handbook. So my pre-gens will come with, if you're a wizard, there is in there, it will have every spell you can cast. It'll have the full description of it, where I just copy paste it and throw it in there and print it for them. It'll have all of your features, all of your different things you can do. If you have magic items, it'll list the entire description of what your magic item does. Like in the folder you get, it has everything you need to play that character. So I make the assumption that my players may not have a handbook, player's handbook. And if then they hand out my little, actually all the characters get a folder. It's an actual folder, that they get in my conventions for each. So I make one folder for each character, basically. How do you rule spell scrolls in Pathfinder 2 Remastered? We don't play Remastered. We bought all the books before they did Remastered, and we didn't switch over. Raw, a player must be the right class to use a scroll. Do you let marshals use scrolls? If so, what would their spell DC attack be? I play Raw. Generally speaking, in any game that I'm running or playing, I use rules as written. My standard is rules as written. Occasionally, I make a change to something, but for the most part, my games, rules as written. So if you have to, in Pathfinder 2, if you have to be the right class to use a scroll, then in my games, you have to be the right class to use a scroll. That's the way I do it. Generally speaking, no matter what game system I'm running, I like to use rules as written. It is better across the board for everybody involved when I just use rules as written. Everybody knows what the rules are. Everybody understands them. They're in the book. You look it up. You just play it as written. That's it. If the game system is so bad that you can't use rules as written, you should be playing a different game system. Bad Juju, what up, dude? What's the point of the stream? It's Q&A. You just ask questions. Yeah. It could be advice, etc. Yeah. Opinions on funnel quests? Funnels suck. I hate funnels. Dungeon Crawl Classic is most known for funnels. I hate funnels. I hate them. You're not actually playing the game system when you're running a funnel. When you're running a funnel, you're not experiencing anything about the Dungeon Crawl Classic game system. Nothing. You're a 0 level character. You're playing with basic rules. What's the point of a funnel? Ugh, I hate funnels. Because like when I go to a convention and I want to play Dungeon Crawl Classic, I want to play Dungeon Crawl Classic. A funnel does not expose me to anything about the rules of Dungeon Crawl Classic and all the cool stuff and weird things you can do. I hate funnels. All right, I'm taking one more, and then I'm going to draw the winner to the giveaway. Do you make the players keep track of spell components? Only if there is a gold piece of value to it, because then they have to buy it. But otherwise, no. If they have the component pouch or a wand that they use as their spellcasting focus, then I do not make them keep track of components. Okay. I feel bad for the guy that asked the question 4 times and then I didn't understand it. But I think I actually saw it. I see more clear. Can the quest giver be a backstabber and make the players do the bad guy's bidding? Yeah, you can. I think you can do that once in your games, and you can get away with it. If you try to do it more than once, bad idea. But here's the problem. After your players discover that your NPC quest giver was actually coercing them or getting them to do the bad guy's work, once they discover that, it's all over. They will probably never really trust another NPC quest giver ever again. And you should be prepared for them to ask some tough questions, to do some deep digging, to do independent research on what the NPC quest giver told them, if they should believe them. Like, get ready. Get booted and strapped in, baby, because your players are they will never forget the NPC quest giver that backstabbed them and got them to do the bad guy's work. They will never forget that. Now, that might be a feature of your campaign. You might create an entire campaign where literally your NPC quest giver or the group or whatever that they work for is getting the good guys to do the bad guys' work without them knowing about it. That might be a feature of your campaign. You might be doing that from levels 1 to 12, and that's your campaign. And then the big reveal is, surprise, you were working for the bad guy all along. And that could be amazing and tons of fun. Tons of fun. That could be an amazing campaign. But just be aware that as a one-off, if you have an NPC quest giver that can't be trusted, your players may never trust them again, and then that could make your game rough in some regards, because they're always like, I've already explained that part. So just be there's like a big caveat. Yes, you can, but be careful is the caveat for reasons already stated. John Heitzman says that is literally my campaign right now. Yeah, that could be tons of fun, and that'll be the reveal will be delicious when your players are all like, and then some adult language comes out, and they'll be like, I hate you, and I love it. How long did it take me to collect all my books that are on the shelf behind me? I don't know. My whole life, dude. It was a long time buying those books and collecting them. Yeah. Okay, I'm drawing the winner to the giveaway. And then we're done. Winner to the giveaway. Draw a winner. Here we go. All right, Red Pepper John. Red Pepper John from Illinois. You have won, good sir. I will send you an email tonight or tomorrow, probably, and we'll get you hooked up with $50 DM Lair store credit. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm done. I'll go see you later. If you haven't already gotten some cool stuff from our 4th of July sale on the DMLair.com, go over there, 25 to 50% off everything. Go take advantage of that. And then I'll see you next week. We'll hang out again. All right. Goodbye. I can't find my buttons. Eee.